Hello, everybody. It's Sunday night. The name of the show is Intuitive Inc., and I am Servette Hassan. We are a few minutes late, 6 minutes to be exact, but we don't care because we got Anysia Kiel on the line, and she's fabulous, and I'm so glad we got her. It's not her fault. We had a little technical glitch on this end, and that's what happened when you go live, and all kinds of strange things have happened in the past, let me tell you. But you know what? We got through. We had a little trouble with the studio line, and it worked out. So I have, again, a really exciting show for you tonight. I have Anysia Marcell Kiel on the line. She's a healing medium who's been able to communicate with spirits since she was a little girl. And not only that, she's written a book called Discovering the Medium Within, Techniques and Stories from a Professional Psychic Medium, which has won all kinds of awards, including the 2013 USA Best Book Award, so yay for that. But she also holds an MFA in creative writing, which explains this latest book, and that's what I want to talk about today. It's called Discovering the Healer Within. Use chakras and intuition to clear negativity and release pain. It's an excellent book. I read it. I recommend it highly, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Welcome, Anysia. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, and I'm happy that we're online and we're able to do this tonight. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know it's kind of makes it more fun in a way, but very stressful because it's like live and all kinds of stuff. I had one guest that had the hiccups. And that was a challenge. You know, you can't, there's things that you just can't help. And suddenly.
You just got to roll with it.
Yeah, you roll with it. And Skype was a little funky with me tonight. It was giving me issues. Mm-hmm. And I Skyped right back at it and said, damn it, we're going live any minute here. So, okay. So anyway, let's start with you because this is a fascinating book. I'm not kidding because I read a book a week. So, and I really loved it. You know why? Because I can tell that you're authentic. You were talking from your heart. You know, especially when you're talking about your children and, you know, that we're going to get into all of that. But that's what makes a book to me. It's like you can tell it's not just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. You're talking from your heart, and this is something you have a passion for, and it's something that works. So let's talk about that. But before we do, how did you get started? Where did this all? You said you've been talking to spirits since you were a little girl. Right. What happened with that? Did it lead?
It was actually very challenging for me because I was raised in a stringent Catholic family. Mm-hmm. So seeing spirits and communicating with spirits really isn't in the Catholic faith. So it was a challenge for my parents to deal with that. I was raised with a lot of fear and to kind of hide that ability because my parents were afraid that people would judge me or ostracize me. You know, there's that whole thing like, oh, it's the devil. You know, that was kind of like
been there, done that.
yeah, that was something that I was raised with. So that was a challenge in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So most of my life I tried to block the abilities out, and that's what the first book was about. And it wasn't until I had my son Braden, who is now 15, and Braden had the same abilities. He showed the same abilities around age 2. And at that point, I started to embrace my abilities because I didn't want my son to grow up the way that I grew up, feeling like he didn't belong or feeling like there was something wrong with him. Mm-hmm. So that's when I kind of started opening to my abilities, and I taught him the things that I knew. And then when my daughter was born, she is much more advanced than both of us, and she's only 9 right now. She just turned 9 this week. And I, again, didn't want her to feel weird. So I kind of just embraced that this is the way we are. Right. This is the way God made us, and we are different, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I had a dog that was very sick that my hand chakras opened up, and again, that's in the first book, that I learned that I had the healing energy going through me. So we had a chocolate lab that was supposed to get an ACL. He had torn his cruciate ligament. So he was supposed to get an ACL surgery done, but he was like 11 and a half years old, so it was kind of risky for him. But the alternative was not getting the surgery and him kind of having the bones fused together in an arthritic condition and he wouldn't be able to walk properly. So when we left the vet office, I had hesitations, but I did schedule the surgery for about 4 weeks later. And shortly after that, my hand chakras opened up on their own. So I was just sitting on the couch one night, and my hands started emanating heat from the palms, and it felt like I had spinning discs in them. Mm-hmm. So I put them on myself. I really didn't know what that was, but I put them on myself, and the energy was coming out. It was very relaxing. So then I just thought to put them on the dog's knee every night, and I did that for 2 weeks. And at the same time, I mentioned it to one of my dad's cousins, because in my dad's family, there are a lot of clairvoyants and clairsentients, not a lot of mediums, but they also study Reiki and other alternatives of healing, modalities of healing, which I was not aware of at that time. But I was talking to my cousin. She said, well, one of our cousins is teaching a Reiki class. You should just take it just to see if it's something that you're interested in. Because when healers are ready to start doing the work, their hand chakras open up naturally. So I thought, okay, well, since that, I'm working on the dog. So in the meantime, we took the dog back to the vet for the surgery, and he ran into the vet office. And the vet said, what happened to this dog? How is it that he's running? And I said, I don't know. He's here for the surgery. And the vet did the exam on him, and he said, I can't do the surgery on this dog because I don't know how, but the leg has repaired itself. And he said, I haven't seen this before, but I can't in good conscience do the surgery on the dog. So we left with the dog. I didn't tell him what I did because honestly I didn't know what I did at that time. Mm-hmm. But then after that, I started, learning to use my abilities in a healing capacity. And then I just started doing things intuitively instead of following like the Reiki modality or other modalities. I just worked intuitively with my psychic abilities. And that's how I started doing the healing work.
Wow. Okay. So how long ago was that, Anysia? Was that?
I want to say I first opened my first healing office in about, 2005 or something. Mm. But I started doing the Reiki training with my cousin. I think I took the first Reiki class, maybe 2001, something like that.
Right. Well, when you took it in 2001, when you took that first Reiki class, did you know then that you could heal?
Yeah, actually, I didn't at first, but when I was taking the class and my cousin was teaching it to the other students, everything felt like I was remembering something that I already knew. Mm, and when I explained that to her, she said, because you already have it in you, this is just a formality for you to get this training. You don't even really need it. You're already attuned. So I was lucky to have a cousin that knew a little bit about that she could guide me through that process, and she did help me a lot.
That's interesting. Well, then that was way before the soul-centered healing method and
yes,
that you do now. So that's something that the Healing Center came about. I believe you're in New Jersey, right?
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that all came about later. So that was something you started out with. But then you wrote a book about being the discovering the medium within first, right?
Right. Exactly. Okay. Exactly.
Okay, so that kind of gets you one step at a time. I understand that. Yeah, I do. I also understand because I know when I volunteered to read tarot cards at the Shakespeare fundraiser at my daughter's school, and the women there turned around and yelled at me and said, "You're a witch! You're a witch!" And they really, seriously, they did. But I remember thinking in that moment, I thought, "Oh my God, this is." I felt like it had happened. I thought, "Oh, not again." Here we go again. Mm-hmm. It's like I knew that I'd already knew how to do it and that I'd done it before, and that, it's the same thing where you kind of knew already, but it was already in you, and then you kind of, okay, so that led, and then you wrote your first book, right?
Right.
And then, okay, discovering the medium within is different than being a healer. So then that led you, I believe, from reading your book, into the whole healing modality, into becoming a spiritual medium, a healer, right?
Well, there's two. Number one, I'm not really a healer. I'm a healing facilitator, and I'm really clear about that because when I work with clients, they heal themselves. I'm just a conduit for the energy that comes through them. Mm-hmm. And it's also the same thing as being a medium, because being a medium, the energy is passing through you and you're relaying it. So in the healing work that I do, it's just another level of the work. It's just healing energy as opposed to the psychic energy coming through.
Right, good
so
point.
So overall,
very good point.
Being a medium is what I am. That's doing the healing work and the psychic work. It's combined in the process that I do.
Right. I think that it also, because I think what happens is that you're able to tune into something that can kind of reach into the root causes and the imprint. I do believe, as I read in your book, you said that you kind of read the book. Like it's kind of
everybody has a book that they bring
of energy.
To me. Yes, that's exactly how I describe it.
Right. So talk about that a little bit. How do you tune into that? Or everybody has it, right? We all have energy that we're projecting. That's a part of who we are, and then you tune into that, and that's what it's because you're right. People heal themselves, and you're tuning into their book, right?
Exactly. So I tell people when they come to me, before they get on the table and we do the energy work, I tell them it's kind of like they're coming to me with this invisible book of everything that's happened to them. And the invisible book is their energetic field. Mm-hmm. So that includes their chakras internally in the body, and then the layers of the aura as well, the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental layers. Mm-hmm. And when they're connected to me, I am reading and scanning everything that's stored in their book. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is there. So if they're memories, I'll see them. If they're things that are recorded, things that they've heard, I'll hear the things, whether they're their thought forms or other thought forms from others that they've stored. Emotions, I'll feel it. Everything is transparent to me. So we're going through the book together, and we're taking out the pages that don't serve them, the experiences that they've overcome, the lessons that they've learned. We're leaving the stuff that they're still sort of reading in their book, and then we're bringing in new energy to balance what we've taken out. So at the end of the session, the client is functioning at a higher frequency because they pulled out what no longer serves them, that was holding them back, and they're vibing at a higher rate. And then we're also leaving the door open for whoever's connected to them in spirit to present themselves in the session for whatever they may need in their healing.
Right. Okay, so do you see future stuff, or is it just the past things that have held them back, or that's causing the pain and the illness, including past lives? Or
it's both.
Okay.
So I will see if it depends on what they're manifesting, right? So when we get into the root of it, sometimes it is a past life thing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's present life trauma from a long time ago. But I also read the birth blueprint, which is at the top, in the upper chakras, and we align them with the soul path. So that includes like where they're going. Mm-hmm. Most people that come to me will come to me after they've cleared most of their karma that they need to clear in this life, and then they align with the soul path and do the work they came here to do. Everybody is here to serve others in some way, despite how many people we see that are still very ego-based, serving themselves. Right. We are all here to connect to others and do something to help others. And when they come here, we clear that stuff and we align them with what they're supposed to do. So it does help them, move forward in the future.
Right. Now, can you do this without seeing a person?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could do it over the phone, and I could do it on Skype too if a person needs to. So I do remote sessions with people in other countries or people in other parts of, the U.S.
Mm-hmm. No, you're just reading into their energy. That's what I do. So it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's even easier for me if they're not in front of me for some reason, because I'm not looking at them. I'm tuning into just energy. And sometimes that's even more beneficial. I really don't have a preference. It doesn't matter either way. I could transcend this. Like if they're in another part of the world, I will just transcend the space. You know what I mean? Energetically. Right. So it doesn't matter. Okay, so how did the book come about? Because the book touches on a lot of things. It touches on your children and not just acute illness, but also addiction, Alzheimer's.
Right.
I mean, you got into a lot of, even the animals. You were talking about your chocolate lab that help us heal. So, I mean, we could talk for about 6 hours, but we're going to run out of time really soon. But so how did the book come about?
The book is just a continuation of the first book, actually, because in the first book, I learned to accept my abilities. I open my healing practice, and I start working with clients. And I have the mediumship methods at the back of the first book to help people open up to their own abilities. The second book is really a continuation of that process, where I talk about client experiences and what I learned in some of the experiences that I had with clients and the work that I do. One of the chapters that I think you're talking about with regard to the animals, there's a chapter called A Voice for the Voiceless.
Right.
And that's a chapter where my son and I, we go to the Popcorn Park Zoo, which is here in New Jersey, and the Associated Humane Societies in New Jersey, and we work with the animals there.
Wow.
So every couple of months, the zoo director will call us in to scan some of the zoo animals, because they do have veterinary facilities at the hospital, but they don't have large equipment for some of the larger animals. So if they have a real serious issue, they'll have to bring somebody in or send the animal someplace else, so it could be very costly. So sometimes if an animal is exhibiting some odd behaviors, they'll call us in to scan the animals, like as a preliminary view of what's going on with the animal, and then they'll bring in a vet or somebody associated with that situation. And with the shelter animals, again, sometimes animals will come in and display some odd behaviors, and they don't really have the history of what happened with that animal. So just the same way as we scan the human field, we do the same with the animals, and everything is recorded in there, whether it be abuse or neglect or whatever it is. We can see that, and then we relay what is stored in the animal's field, and we relay that to the zoo people and the shelter people, and then they train the animal to overcome that, so they can kind of release those imprints and be adopted. So we do that work on a regular basis for them, and that's what that chapter is about.
Yeah, that's not easy, because you're training an animal to get over something they don't. Because I know I've had a dog that just couldn't go near men, but he had been abused, and so it took a little while to work with that, but he got over it. One of the things I liked about that chapter, A Voice for the Voiceless, that you're talking about, is that you also talk about clearing your energy daily, and I think that is so important in staying well and wellness just in general, because this is what brings in so much negativity, I think, even past, present, or future even, is because a lot of us have fear of the future, is what makes us ill. I think we keep, so it's important that we clear. And you talk about the chakras and everything like that. Can you expand upon that a little bit?
Yeah, one of the things that we do in every book signing, we do a couple of psychic exercises in all of the different book signings that I'm doing for this book tour. And that's to let people know that we all have psychic ability. To be psychic means to be able to perceive energy beyond the physical senses. So I explain the different psychic senses. And then we do a couple of different exercises. Sometimes we do a psychometry exercise with partners, where someone will hold an object of another partner and pick up on the energy in their hand chakras to see what impressions they get. It lets them know which one of their psychic senses is the strongest activated, and it also lets them know how they're picking up information overall. And then we share the results with the group, and it's a fun exercise. But overall, we do need to clear our fields, and the first thing that I talk about in one of the exercises with the chakras is balancing your own energy field with your hand chakras. Whether or not you're attuned to an alternative modality of healing, you still have energy running through your body. We're comprised of energy, and you can balance that with the hand chakras in the center of your palms. It's very easy to do. We do a chakra alignment in this book, and we also do an exercise for grounding your hands to release some of the energy that you're picking up in your hand chakras all day long. When you're touching other people, touching objects, you're picking up imprints all the time. And sometimes those imprints can affect you overall. So you need to balance your own energy. And even for people that do energy work, you need to do your own clearing every single day, because you can't help others and assist others in the process if you yourself are not clear.
Right.
So it's really important to be, in order to be a clear conduit, you have to clear your own stuff out of the way and constantly clear so that you can be of service to others.
Right. Well, I certainly do, because I also don't want to pick up their stuff. Do you know, when I'm done, I need to let it go. I don't, because you can easily do that without realizing it. So to me, it's really important to clear when I'm working with other people. But I do clear my energy daily anyway. And I do ground daily too. Right. Right.
So, and we do some grounding exercises in here as well.
Well, what do you recommend mostly for people that are clearing, like something that's quick and easy for some? Is it doing chakra work? Are you using the chakras mostly, or is it more of a guided meditation type of thing?
For a person that's starting out to do their own energy healing, is that what you're asking?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think a basic chakra alignment, everybody should try to do that every day, even if they only do it for 10 minutes, just going down the hairline from the crown chakra to the root and pulling the energy down. And at the end of the alignment, they can put their hands on their thighs and send everything down through their knees to their feet and heavily ground themselves. That alone for 10 minutes a day is a great way to start.
Right. I agree. I think so too. So and you know what? I think we all have areas in which we need to heal, and part of it is figuring out what the root of it, you know, and that's key. So I'm going to open the lines up for anyone that needs to call in and wants to ask, and is that okay? Ask you a question, Anysia, and the number is 949-313-8880. If there's anybody out there that has a question about healing, this is the person to ask, because she really does know what she's talking about. And I love the book. The book is called Discovering the Healer Within. And, it's got some great tips. I mean, cause we can't touch on everything unless we're on the phone for hours. But it is about, yeah, exactly. You know, like balancing the chakras. Okay, that's another hour and a half. And, you know, and you even talk about sending energy remotely. You know, there's a lot of stuff in this book. Clearing your energy at the beach was one of my favorite parts of the book, because I do that often. I just think water, beach, things like that really can heal you. But there's so many things in our lives that can cause us our energy to get off. And when that happens, don't be surprised if you don't get sick, because there's it's dis-ease. You're not at ease, you know. So there's something in there that's going to, and it could take a while. It could take years. It could take lifetimes. But it will find its way, because something needs to be addressed. So I love people like you that can help people find that answer, because some people don't have a clue, you know.
That's a very good point, Servet. I think everybody knows, unless something has happened before they're able to process it cognitively.
Right. We have a caller. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. Hello. Sure. Hello, caller. Hello?
Hello?
Caller, can you hear us? Hi.
Hi.
Are you on the line, caller? You're on the line with Servet Hassan, Intuitive Inc., the radio show, and we have Anysia Kiel on the line with us. Did you have a question?
Yes, I did have a question for her. Alicia, may I go ahead and speak?
Sure, absolutely. Go right ahead. What's your name?
My name's Catherine.
Catherine, thank you for calling in. Go right ahead.
Alicia, this show is very interesting, and I'm glad Servet had you on it, because I enjoy listening to it and hopefully learning a little bit myself as well. And I know you were talking about the chakras and doing things with that. I had a respiratory issue, and finally with the doctors and research we got a way to help me heal with that. And then about a month ago, I started having pain in my right side, and now it's called a sciatica or something. I'm 65 years old, but I feel I'm a dynamo, and maybe I shouldn't be, and I've never had this severe pain before, and I had an epidural already. I'm doing stretches and exercise, and I'm going to go walking again to keep my body mobile. But I'd like to know, what can I do to help myself not only heal this, but stay healthy and take care of my body?
Sure. Great question, and thank you for calling in with it. Two things. Number one, when we manifest stuff on the right side of the body, this is male-affected energy that we're storing. And when it's on the left side of the body, this is female-affected energy that we're storing. So when something shows up on the right side, we have to look at experiences that we've had with males, and also just male relationships overall in our current situation in our lives. Okay?
Right. Well, I don't have a male relationship, like a human male, in my life right now. But do you mean inner self? I guess I'm not quite understanding.
No, like sometimes when people store stuff on the right side of the body, it can be a relationship that they had with their father or a brother or something in their family, or it can be a current relationship that involves a male. So it doesn't have to be someone that you're in a loving relationship with right now. It's any male that you've had in your life that you can be storing something for them on that side. Okay. But overall, there are a couple of things that you should be doing every day, aside from doing physical activity. Sometimes the physical activity can exacerbate what's going on, which can be the case right now for what you have, right? Especially physical activity is your go-to source when something's bothering you. Sometimes these kind of things are a call for you to go within, okay, and not put any physical stress on the body. So have you started meditating? Do you do any meditating right now?
Well, I suck at meditating, but I'm sure trying to do better at it.
I love your candor. That's adorable.
My mind, I relax, I meditate, I'm doing all that stuff, and then all of a sudden my mind will bounce over here, and I go, come back, wherever you are, because I can't handle it. But I'm sure trying to do.
Well, sometimes it helps if we follow like a YouTube meditation. I do have a couple on my YouTube channel that are from the first book. There's a chakra alignment that you can do right on YouTube. But there's also a very basic one about tunneling yourself in light. Sometimes people need to hear a guided meditation in order to get them to that place so they can block out what's happening on the earth plane,
I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, you may need something like that just to help you initially. And the other thing about meditating, don't go too big too quickly, meaning don't try to do like a 1-hour meditation or even a 30-minute meditation right away. Start with something small, like 10 minutes every few days. Just, don't bite off more than you can chew initially, because then you'll feel discouraged, okay?
Right.
So,
and what is your website so I can go check your YouTubes out?
Oh, sure. It's AnysiaKiel.com. That's ANYS as in Sam, IA, KIEL.com.
Wonderful.
So I would recommend doing that right away. We both talked about, Servet and I were both just discussing a basic chakra alignment that you can do every day just for 10 minutes. So that's something else. And I also think you could really use some very heavy grounding, okay?
Is that something?
And how do I do that?
There are a lot of different techniques you can use for grounding. Visualization is one, but it seems to me that you might like something a little more physical. You can just walk outside barefoot, and that's one of the exercises in this book as well. Just connecting your feet to the earth for about 10 minutes, and you will feel all your energy being pulled down from your head right to your feet. When we are grounding, we're taking the energy that's stuck in our upper chakras, and we're pulling it down to our feet so that we're physically present in our bodies, okay? So that's something else you might want to look into.
Yeah, because I was listening to about how you said you start at the top and bring it down to your, to your feet. Stomach and hip. Yeah, and then down to your feet. Okay.
Great.
Did
that help?
You've been very, tremendously, and I really appreciate it. And I better let some other callers on if they want to be, and I want to hear more. So thank you very much for everything.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take
Thank
care.
You, ladies.
That was an interesting conversation. I am glad, too, that she had you, Anysia, talk about your website, because I was going to ask about that, too. And it is, in case you guys didn't hear, it is AnysiaKiel.com, and it's ANYSIAKIEL.com. And I'm assuming that the books and everything else you do is on there as well. Do you do workshops? Or is it strictly because I know you have your soul-centered healing place.
I do offer workshops. I did offer workshops for the first book, and I will offer intuitive healing workshops for this book that I'm going to probably run in the spring of next year. But right now I'm just focused on touring with the book. I just got back last week on Wednesday. I was down in the Carolinas for 7 days in North Carolina and South Carolina visiting there. And next month I'm spending some time in Maryland and New York and Pennsylvania. So I'm still kind of traveling around for the book.
Good.
But I will be teaching classes.
And those are all of those places that you're visiting on the website as well. People want to come.
They are. Yes, they're under the events page of the website.
Good. Okay, so that's a good thing. And the name of the book, again, is Discovering the Healer Within. And if we have anybody else out there that has a question, please call in. It's 949-313-8880. We're running out of time, so if you want to call, now's the time. And, I know what happens with people. I get a lot of people that will call and email me and text and everything else after the show's gone and done, and so I had a question and I needed to know this, and now I have it comes later when it's a little too late because this is live. But if you do, I'm sure, are you available for private consultations if somebody wants to reach you as well? So they can find you probably at AnysiaKiel.com as well, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And then, and that's a good thing too. So if you don't have a question right now and you think of it later, you can always find Anysia later. And also you can get the book. The book has a lot of answers in it, It walks you through a lot of these things, and I love the exercises. The exercises are very, they're not hard, and if you do them, they can't not help you. They're just, like you were just talking about going outside even, I recommend that all the time. It's like if you just take your shoes off and stand on grass. People haven't done that in a long time, to feel the earth beneath their feet. It's such a simple thing, and yet, we don't do it anymore, but that's one way to just ground yourself, find
exactly.
It really helps. So anyway, that's, anybody else got a question? Now's the time, 949-313-8880. I'm really glad Catherine called in. But now, do you have that the Louise Hay theory of every illness has a connection to something that's going on with you internally? Like, if your tooth's hurting, that's a bad example. If your foot's hurting, it's because you're afraid to move forward, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do, with the exception of one thing. If a child's soul is born to the earth with a condition, a lot of times that's just part of the soul agreement. And if the child does not heal from that and leaves the earth that way, sometimes that's just the fulfillment of the contract.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
As opposed, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit of a different circumstance. And other times when people are reaching a terminal situation, sometimes that is how they're going to leave the earth plane. And I know that you read that in the one chapter with the healing sacred agreements with the cousin that had the breast cancer. Mm-hmm. So those are two kind of exceptions. But other than that, when we manifest something, we have to look within ourselves and say, what am I disacknowledging that needs to be acknowledged? Because that's why we're manifesting something. The bodies are not working, meaning the emotional, physical, spiritual, or mental bodies, they're not jiving together, and we're manifesting something. When something gets to the point of us having physical pain, it's because we have ignored it to such a point that now we need pain to acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. And for some of us, we'll still ignore it and take a pill to get rid of the pain, but we won't do the work to heal it.
Right.
So it's whether or not you want to do the work, but the alternative to not doing the work is staying stuck. And who wants to stay stuck in life?
No, exactly.
There's no fun in that.
No, because I do believe that, with the exception, as you were talking about, soul agreements and things like that, that the things manifest for a reason. Just like you were talking about the right side, it's a male issue. The left side is a female issue. That has a lot of credence, There's things that you need to look at, and that's what's hard for people, is because you have to look at, and sometimes it's usually something you need to release and forgive, and let go of.
It is. A lot of times it is, and sometimes you can do it on your own if you're not too attached to what the experience is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you need someone that's functioning at a higher frequency to assist you in that process. It really depends where you are vibrationally,
Well, and some people can't figure out what it is they need to release. And
that's why they have to go to someone that's at a different frequency that can look in and pull it out with them, can kind of guide them through the process.
Right. Yeah. And I've had a few clients that recently that haven't dealt with grief, and it's manifested physically in their bodies, and and once they grieved, they were fine, but they needed permission they needed to give themselves permission to grieve, to let that out and let it go, and a lot of times I feel a lot of people come down with many things because they can't forgive. And sometimes the forgiveness is not for anybody else. It's for themselves, And
Right. And also sometimes when we look at experiences that have happened, even if they involve abuse or something really on a human level that's challenging, that may have been a soul agreement that you signed on for forgiveness, to experience forgiveness, or to experience compassion. So if you can take a step back from the human part of it and look at things from a soul level, you kind of get some clarity, and you find it easier to work through those experiences.
Right. And you do. And then as we evolve, things, just like you with your children. Anysia, you have 2 children who are going to benefit because their gifts are going to be celebrated, but also encouraged, and kind of, like you're not so weird and different. Because I grew up like you, where you're just strange, It's like and nobody understands.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah. What the heck is wrong with you? Or you're a witch, that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay,
the witch, the devil, it's all synonymous.
I know. It's like, oh, really? Here I go again. It's like, what year is this? I was like, what? But and that's lovely. But because they picked you. They picked you for their mom, and you picked them. So this is this perfect combination of being able to bring some real healing to the world, because they're no matter what they do, they'll be able to do that, right? Yes,
I agree with you, and I don't know if you saw in the beginning of the book, but the book is actually dedicated to Braden and Briella.
Yes.
For them selecting me as their mom, because I really do feel that they teach me some of the greatest things in this world that I couldn't learn from anybody else. And I absolutely would not be who I am today if I did not have those children in my life. I mean, I wouldn't be.
No,
They've
and
changed me forever.
neither would they be, you know?
Right.
It's a kind of agreement, a soul agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we have a few minutes. If anyone's left out there that wants to call, be brave. Don't be afraid. Anysia won't hurt you. She'll help you. It's 949-313-8880. No one can help you more. I think that's and again, if not, the name of the book is Discovering the Healer Within, and it's on her website, AnysiaKiel.com, and also I'm sure on Amazon and anywhere else you buy books. So we're kind of winding down here, and I know you have a soul-centered healing method, and what would that be? How would you describe that? It's a center, right? You have a center.
It's different for everybody depending on what they need. But I work intuitively and just scan their aura and scan their energetic field, and I call to their attention whatever it is that's blocking, whatever's in the way, repetitive patterns, whatever keeps coming up that they can't get rid of, and I help them raise their frequency so they can release it. And then I align them with the soul path. We communicate with whoever they need to communicate with in spirit to help them as well. Sometimes it's spirit guides, sometimes it's family members. And then we end the session, and they are aligned and balanced, and they are functioning at a higher frequency than when they came into the office. That's really the goal, to shift them to a higher frequency, whatever frequency they're ready for at that time.
I like that. My goal is always to have people leave me a better person than they were before they were with me. You know?
Right.
It's like if you leave the same person you were when you were, came in the door, then I failed.
You didn't do your job, right?
Yeah, I want change. I want something that shifts them, and even if it's minuscule, because that's the start of bigger things, So I like that idea, and and then you're out and about promoting the book and doing the book tour, and it's a great book. I highly recommend it, and I like the exercises, and I like that you do, that they're not complicated. Not that I would mind that, but normal people, they just want something that's easy. Like you were talking about meditation, and meditation. If I didn't meditate first thing in the morning, I would be a wreck by noon. That would be like me not brushing my teeth or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would just walk around all day like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I can't function without that. But that's something people have to grow into, like you said, because if you you can't do 30 minutes or an hour off the bat. But I will say 5 minutes a day even will change your life. So if I can get there with them, then I'm way ahead of the game. It's like something, because I do believe meditation more than anything will help change your life, really, if you do it continuously. And, it's like you said, we're all psychic. We are.
Absolutely,
I think
yes.
We all have that ability in us. It's just a question of tapping into it. I don't think it's anything that's abnormal or special. Some people have it to a higher degree, which is great, but we all have it. Right?
Exactly. And one thing I want to clarify, some of us are born at a very high frequency, so our abilities are kicked into high gear. And that's also because we're supposed to do something with it very early on. But those of us that are not very open at a young age, we can grow in our abilities. The more you clear in your energetic field and the higher you vibrate, the more your abilities will be activated. There's a direct correlation to your psychic abilities being activated and utilized and the frequency that you're vibrating at.
Okay, explain that a little bit more for people out there.
So the more that you clear in your energetic field, the negativity, the old patterns, any bad feelings you have towards people, the more you move into the frequency of unconditional love, where if someone cuts you off when you're driving, instead of cursing them out, you're just blessing them and saying, I send you peace for whatever's your highest intentions. When you can get to that kind of place, where you cannot be emotionally set off by every little experience. Now you're functioning at a higher rate, a higher frequency. And the higher your frequency, the more your abilities will kick in.
Right. That
There's
makes
a correlation
perfect
between
sense
the frequency that you're vibrating at and your psychic abilities being activated.
Right. That makes perfect sense to me. Now, last question. Yeah. Now, do you think, other than soul contracted things that we have agreed to before, anything and everything can be healed?
Yes, and I also believe that in line with that, some of us heal things for our ancestral lines. That's not something we talk about a lot, but if you have an illness or something that's carried, or even a pattern of behavior that's carried down in your family, you may be the person that's called to break that or to clear some of that and transmute that energy for the generations that come after you.
Good point.
So there's a whole nother, there's another thing coming. Some of us have signed on for that,
Oh, yeah, I tapped into that with myself because I grew up in Pakistan, and I was born in Pakistan. I didn't grow up there. I was born in Pakistan. My name in English means treasure because in 1958 they were burying baby girls alive because they were useless, and my dad wanted a girl, so I got to live. But I also got to see how women were treated like nothing, like dirt, and and then I grew up in London and Montreal, and the first thing I did, I have a daughter that went to the University of Pennsylvania Law School. So what I taught her is to not do this. Just be the strongest person you can be. And she is, and she's damn smart. But it took me for generations of these women to hit that hard, and it was a battle. It was a battle. Yeah. But I took it on because I wasn't going to do that. And so, it meant
and you
running.
signed on for that.
I did. I signed on
I know you did. That's why I said that.
Yeah. I signed on for running away when I was 14 years old when Dad said you're going to marry some guy I hooked you up with since you were born. I was like, well, sorry. See ya. And he said, there's only two ways a Muslim girl leaves this house, and any Muslim man's house is married or in a coffin, and you pick. And I said, okay, and I left. But, that's what your soul, I didn't even think about this stuff, but I think your soul just knows, and it just goes with it because it just has that instinct. Just like you, when you had your children, your instinct was to tell them, your spirit, your soul was there to tell them, you're okay. This is good. Right. And this is going to get better, and let me help you, which is a whole different world, whole different story. Like I said, Anysia, I could have you on the line for days, and we'll have to do it again because I would love to talk about some things we didn't even touch on. I know salt and there's all kinds of stuff, we didn't get to, and it's over already. So we will have to do it again. And I promise, because it's a longer conversation than what I anticipated, but I did anticipate it, but I knew it could be. Anyway, the website is AnysiaKiel.com, ANYSIAKIEL.com. The name of the book that we've been talking about is Discovering the Healer Within, but her first book, Discovering the Medium Within, we touched upon too, and you can find both of them on her website or on Amazon.com. And you've got everything you need to know about you on your website so people can find you if they need you. And it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Servette, I also wanted to say thank you for saying yes to the work, and thank you for saying yes to the challenges. You're part of the change, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I love what you're doing because like I said, I read a book a week. So, and I love that you write from your heart and that you talk from your heart and that you're real. It's authentic, I can tell. And that's what I like. It's a real book, and she's got some really great. If there's anybody out there that needs healing, this is the book for you. Please pick it up. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Take care. Anysia? Are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we still? Yes,
we're done.
I am.
We're going to say goodnight.
That was great. You did a great job.
Thank you and good night. We're still live, so I'm going to say good night, and then I'm going to wrap up. So thank you, and we're going to we'll do this again. Trust me. So take care.
All right. Thanks a lot, Servette. Have a
You're
great
welcome.
night.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What a great guest. She's awesome and knows what she's talking about, and take it from me, I know. So she does know what she's talking about. Very authentic, very knowledgeable in her field, and has a truly God-given gift, wherever that came from. And it's a great book, Discovering the Healer Within. My website is ServetteHassan.com, ServetteHassan.com. And again, I'm just going to say be you to the full, because that's what's truly beautiful. That's when everything comes to you, when you open yourself up and you deal with your crap, and you know who you are and don't pretend to be anything else, and just embrace that. Everything comes to you. And we're going to continue to talk about that in the days and weeks that come. I will, like I said, I'll be on hiatus in November and December, and coming back with a really great shows next year. But I've got a Halloween show for you next week. She's a really good author. She's written a book about being a glamorous witch, and she has some interesting things to say. I think it's going to be a really fun show. But again, be you to the full. That's what's truly beautiful. And get out there and do your thing. And I will be back next week, and hope you join me. Take care. Good night.